Assalamu alaikum and hello dear viewers. It is important for a phenomenon to be understood not only in empirical terms but also in theoretical considerations. In almost all disciplines and subjects, there are theories. Same is the case with the discipline and subject of international relations. To have a full and complete picture and understanding of an international phenomenon, international politics, and international relations, there are a bunch of theories. I have already talked about some of IR theories. So today we'll talk about the hegemonic stability theory. But before that, if you have not subscribed my this channel, please do subscribe it. Press the bell icon to be informed with my new interesting video uploads and share the link of this channel with your contacts and friends. Dear viewers, what is hegemonic stability theory? It is a theory which talks about a hegemon. Then what is hegemon? Hegemon is the most powerful state in the world which can arrange, regulate, administer and monitor the world affairs. I mean, the most powerful state in the world which gives a system to the world, political system, legal system and financial system. It must have preponderance of power. It must have the will to lead the world. In this regard, there are some attributes and some preconditions for a hegemon to be there and to have a particular kind of system. I mean, first, a hegemon must have the political power, also the military power. If a powerful state has so much might, so much prowess, and it has power to influence other states or the world through its political means and also through military means, it has resources and it has reach to the most of the world, then the first condition is fulfilled. The second condition for a hegemon, that is the stable, large and growing economy. That a powerful state must have the economy which should be, we can say, the first economy in the world. It should have a huge size. It should have a large number in imports and exports. It should have the financial outreach to almost every corner of the world. It should have the capacity to invest in other countries. It should have the style to attract other countries and other businesses to its own state. And an economy which should not be stagnant but rather growing. A growing economy, then it can persuade a state for a hegemonic position. The third thing for a hegemon and condition, that is the will to lead the world. Some states, they may be powerful militarily, politically, economically, but if they don't have will to lead the world, then we can't call it as a hegemon. That's why it's necessary that the will, the wish, not only wish, but even the will to lead the world, it is necessary for a hegemon. The fourth condition for a hegemon state in the world, that is the to commit to the world system, not only the political, economic or military might, not only the will to lead the world, but even now the commitment to the world system is there. I mean, a powerful state may arrange and may make political, military or economic institutions. A powerful state may even lead the world, but if it can't maintain the lead, if it can't maintain the arrangements, if a state can't maintain the international regimes, the international institutions, and if a powerful state can't give something in raw, I mean some material to build up the institutions more and more, then we can't call it as a hegemon. Yes, it can be a powerful state but not a hegemon. So these four conditions are necessary for a hegemon: political, economic, and military might, the will to lead the world, and then the commitment to the world system. That's why we have then hegemonic stability theory, and this theory was first called as the theory of hegemonic stability by Robert O. Cohen. Robert O. Cohen, then he joined with A.F.K. Orginsky, who is regarded as the chief architect of the power transition theory, and who has also written a book by the name of World Politics, published in 1958. Then in this hegemonic stability theory, we have two schools of thought. I mean, each school of thought has discussed this hegemonic stability theory through its own ways. The first is realist school of thought, where we have John Mearsheimer and we have A.F.K. Orginsky. And the another school of thought, that is the systemic school, or the systemic theory, or sometimes it's called the world system theory. Here we have George Modelsky, who talks about the cycle theory, long cycle theory, and we have also the Emanuel Wallerstein, who talks about the world system theory. So here John Mearsheimer talks, who is also realist, more particularly he is new realist. He talks about the offensive realism. John Mearsheimer talks about the world system, I mean the power capabilities, the distribution of power capabilities in the world system. He talks about the changes in the power politics. He talks about the anarchy of international system. So any change in international politics and the policies of the great powers, and any change in the distribution of power capabilities among the states and international system, it affects and it shapes a country's, a state's foreign policy in a specific direction. So that's why a state's action or policy that is dependent on international system. So sometimes it gives a rise to a hegemon, most powerful state who fulfills the four conditions what I have already talked about. So hegemonic stability theory, it says that there should be a hegemon in the world which can regulate the affairs, political, military, social, legal, or financial affairs of the world, and it gives a stability to a state. And if there is the decline of a hegemon, or if there is no hegemon situation in the world, then the system can't remain as stable. Then there can be instability in the world. So that's why upon the decline of a hegemon, or if there is a situation, if there is no hegemon in the world, then a system of the world can't remain for a long. So according to power transition theory, it says that even if there is decline of a hegemon, or maybe we can call it as maybe a superpower, and if there is a rising power, so there may be a tussle between them, and then the rising power will want to have its own financial, political, legal, social, or military institutions in the world. Then it will take time. So for the time being, the system will remain as immature, but with the passage of time, if it has really the will to lead the world, and if really it commits to the system, then it is possible that this immaturity of the system will be converted into a mature system. So, on the other hand, some scholars, they consider today's the United States of America as a hegemon of the world. No doubt that since the disintegration of the Soviet Union, since 1991, for the last 29 years, United States is the sole superpower of the world. So there is confusion among the scholars and experts of international relations theory that some, they consider United States of America as a hegemon of the world, but on the other hand, some consider it as a great power or superpower, but not hegemon. Like John Mearsheimer and Joseph S. Nye, who are two leading theoreticians in IR or political international relations experts, they say that United States is not a world hegemon. Yes, it has military might, it has political might, it has the preponderance of power, but it has not the ability to just administer the affairs of the world and to have the regularity of the world affairs. So that's why they say we can't call United States as a world hegemon. On the other hand, some scholars, they consider United States as the world hegemon because no state in the world is equal to the United States. Still, the United States military, its economy, its system, and its political reach, that is above all in the world, above all states. So they consider United States as a hegemon. Even at the end of the World War II, the creation of the International Monetary Fund, IMF, the creation of the Bretton Woods system, then the World Bank and then World Trade Organization, the big agreements, and even its voice and say in the United Nations, especially in its Security Council, its strength in the NATO even, and also the United States humanitarian intervention in so many countries. So its support for some states in the world, for some even military regimes in the world, then we can call it as a hegemon. There is no parallel or no equal of the United States. John Mearsheimer, he has written a book by the name of The Tragedy of the Great Power Politics, and in that book he talks about the power politics and also about the great powers, and especially he also discusses about the hegemon, hegemonic position, hegemonic power, and the hegemonic stability. So realist scholars and the world system theory scholars, they consider the existence of a hegemon for the world stability, for the regularity of international affairs. There are some constraints even on the United States. Experts, they say that there are 3 constraints on the United States that it can't move freely or it can't dictate the world on its own wishes. One, that is the institutional architecture of the United States. There is democracy. United States has made and maintained its political, its social institutions in such a way that if US wants to use its power very in a limitless way, then of course this institutional arrangement and architecture of itself can be a break, can be a limitation for its policy. The second, that is the openness and open nature of its society and culture. The people, they are very much aware about the values, so it can be a hindrance, just like there was in the Vietnam War, that even the US public, they went to the streets and they were agitating to end the Vietnam War and to withdraw the US forces from there. The third thing is, many people, they may not agree, that is the NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. It is a military arrangement, military organization, and it has some kind of break on the US policy, as we have seen sometimes on some occasions that there were differences between the United States and France about a certain war, about a certain action of NATO. So it can also stop in some way or the other the United States to have a specific course of action. So today, some scholars and people, they also consider People's Republic of China as a rising power, and it will be threatening maybe in future that it can pose a threat to the stability of the world and also to the superpower status of the United States. So according to the power transition theory, then there can be a decline of the United States and more rise of China. So then China will want to have its own institutions in the world. Already the AIIB, Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, the BRI project, and its more now influence, especially the financial, economic outreach of the China, also the huge military of China, and now China is also spreading its political tentacles in the world. So we may say that in future it can happen. The other example, that is the BRIC, Brazil, Russia, India, China, sometimes BRICS, some people they consider South Africa as well. So their economies, they are also paying a kind of threat to the US economy, because mostly the US economy that is under debt. So it can also have this kind of understanding of the hegemonic stability theory, that these states can challenge the US hegemony in the world, maybe sooner or later in future. But hegemon is necessary according to this theory for the stability of the world. There can be a decline of a hegemon, but the will to lead, the commitment to the system, the political, financial, economic, and military might is necessary, and also its institutions to be a role model. And if we see in today's world, so then the Western world, especially the United States institutions, that can present a soft image to the world that many countries they are following. Dear viewers, hope you like this video. Will be appear with new interesting videos on current affairs, international relations, and on theories of international relations. Please do keep watching this channel and take care.